My name Charlie Gun the Four.
Welcome to video. That's how excited I am about recording. Today's a special day. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work on a very cool commission. You could be next one because commissions are already opened. I no longer have a job, by the way. I started working a full-time job at the start of the year, but I got booted from there because I didn't fit in. I don't really care though. Like, I got over it like 3 days after I got kicked out. Yeah, we're back to doing commissions. So now is your time to get one. And this one is rather interesting. Let's check it out. Hi, Chala. I was really nervous to message, but I thought I'd reach out to you about a commission. I wanted to see how you would portray my character Stanley for fun. Small main notes on the character. Awkward and a tad clumsy. Smart. Kind of. Travels through dimensions. Sci-fi type of character, I suppose. Has an artifact inside him that holds a fallen angel, which is keeping him alive, while helping him narrowly escape situations. So yeah, that's the brief. I asked them for more clarification, more details, so let's check out the detailed description. I have a scenario in mind where Stanley is in the midst of narrowly escaping a stressful and potentially deadly situation, running in towards the view of the camera, but offset by a 3x4 quarter view with the scene following that same direction, likely being pursued by distant silhouettes of humans and or otherworldly beings that are on his tail, but totally optional for if you can fit in with the time. He'd be looking rather frazzled and panicked, as well as a little beaten, roughed up from a prior scuffle, focused ahead in his attempt to escape. The setting I'm seeing it to be is a sort of sci-fi theme surrounding with towering walls around him, a dilapidated alleyway. The walls, signs and or windows are instead of disrepair and worn a bit with time. The moment takes place during the night, with the alley somewhat lit up by any nearby signs, windows or lights that still function in the space around him, and possibly with a directional red light of danger coming from the place/area he's escaping from, if you feel that fits. Okay. So, to summarize, sci-fi professor looking at escaping from some policemen or bandits or something like that in a cyberpunk alleyway with some dim neon lights in the scene from windows or signs or whatever. What do I think about the commission? I think it's interesting. I can't believe I used the word interesting again. What the f? I really need to read some books, expand my vocabulary. Yeah, I don't know, the character is very cartoony. It has like goggles with like some triangles in the middle of the goggles. Combining that with like a gritty cyberpunk scene was a challenge in a way to make it look like it belongs there. So starting out, thought I'd make like an alleyway with like some boxy buildings with the 3D primitives that are built into Clip Studio. This is like a pattern, like in the previous video I tried doing the same thing with like the bed, but then realized, yeah, no, in doing that I need to work in Blender instead. So that's what's happening. I'm recreating like a long path and like some buildings, extruding pieces out of it to create columns in the wall, like make it look like some apartment building or something like that. Just gotta make the area closer to the closer to the camera, interesting, add like some interesting shapes to the columns, make them like wider at the top, narrow at the bottom, making like a pipe that's like almost circular, but it's like a rounded rectangle actually. I don't know what alleyways are like. It's just a sidewalk. I don't know if there should be a sidewalk in an alleyway, but I did it anyways because I wasn't thinking. I just was thinking about how am I gonna do this quickly? How am I gonna fit this into 1 hour? Because that's how much I allocated for the background creation in 3D. And yeah, like some buttons on the walls duplicated the whole building as well. And now it's time for the other side. Repeating a similar process for the other wall, but just changing up the shapes of those columns a little bit, making them a little more sci-fi looking with like the diagonal lines. In general, if you want to make something sci-fi, just use weird diagonal lines everywhere and it will work instantly, making like a AC unit or whatever, something similar to that. The good thing about this camera view is we only need detail in the front because that's the only part where we will actually be able to see what's on the walls, because the further back we go, the more the columns will start obscuring the view on the wall itself. It'll look quick thing at the back, so there is no clear sky visible. Just extruding some pieces out, and yeah, and we're basically done with setting up the primitive. Time to set up some lights. So I set up like a sun. That's the type of light in Blender. So basically a sun for like a moonlight, some very dim blue light, and a little point light that will be red behind the camera. So the characters will be lit by this. That's cool. So I took a little break, came back to this, and what I noticed is that the blue light is interfering with the red light a little bit. So I added like a little plane in front of the blue light, so it looks like something is obscuring it behind the camera, and the blue light is only falling toward the back of the alley. So that's a cool trick and tip. The client said that they wanted the light sources to be coming from like windows or signs that are in the alley. So basically I added some lighting inside the windows and made like a strip light in one of the parts of the building, I don't know. And yeah, just tweaked it from there to get like a natural looking result. Added some damage to one of the buildings as well. Some quick damage with one click, and we're done. Actually rather surprised at how fast I was able to create a cohesive scene. As I said, it's partly because of how the columns are obscuring the actual walls. So that worked out in my favor this time. Time to start the drawing. Let's go. I imported this with different lighting passes and a fog pass. The fog pass is essential because it obscures detail in the back even more, and it creates a depth in the scene, so we can make it like slowly almost fade into the moonlight. But yeah, to set up the character himself, I added the 3D figure and tried to match the proportions kind of with what was going on in the reference sheet, and tried to like match the camera angle and the focal length. To set up the two other characters in the background, I imported like some running poses from the Clip Studio asset library. Just found some, duplicated it, and tweaked the pose a little bit for the other character. And yeah, that's basically how that went. A little time-saving technique there, and I just started sketching on top of the character. The main guy. We need like a long lab coat that is like flapping behind him in the wind. Like not really in the wind, just in the flow of the run, you know what I'm saying? So let's give him some gloves, some clothes, and maybe even a face. When working with the 3D model like this, drawing over a 3D model, I tend to like forget about gesture. I just think about the actual 3D form of the pose. So during that, I didn't realize how goofy the back arm of him looks. It's like really short and doesn't really look right, but I wasn't really in that mode of thinking. For the background characters, I just designed them on the fly. Like I didn't even gather any references. I just made random shit and tried to make like a cool silhouette for them with like spikes and like a visor. The funny thing is it ended up looking like Power Rangers. I didn't even intend to, but it just kind of does. It's so stupid, but it's cool. I mean, it is supposed to be like almost cartoony, so I think it fits in rather well. But yeah, when I came back to the character, I realized how dumb the back arm looks like. So basically, while the 3D pose may have looked correct in that angle, it doesn't look very visually appealing. So we gotta change it up to make the silhouette work better as like a running pose. And with that done, it was time to send it to the client. Pretty good result, I think, like 42 minutes remaining, but we've got everything laid out. Okay, feedback time. Oh, that looks stunning so far. I adore how you made this look. I have no comments on anything that needs to be changed. Can't wait to see the final results. Okay, very nice. No changes requested this time. You're making my life very easy. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. So let's keep going and try to color him in. Just picking colors from the reference sheet just to fill the different parts in. I don't really care about how it blends into the environment in this stage. I just want the colors to be accurate. I can add like an atmosphere filter on it later and make it look like everything actually belongs there. Let's do the same with the Power Rangers. I'm just freestyling the Power Rangers though. But yeah, I added this moonlight filter on him, like just a solid color, put the blending mode on hard light, and now he's dark. Now it looks like he's in there. Now the whites aren't as white anymore. It's got a little bit of a blue tint. And as the first pass of lighting, I did my signature technique for the 3-hour ones, like a lasso plus soft brush to create like hard and soft edges simultaneously. And I think that does the main lifting of the shading actually. Like this is the main form, and now we can start going in with the red, which is coming from the camera, and it's covering almost the entire character, which is it's a little bit tricky to get it to look completely accurate, but I'll just keep it as is for now and go into the background and fill the different areas in kind of roughly though, because we don't have a lot of time to work with here, like 15 minutes remaining. So just masking different areas in with like solid color and using like some texture brushes in the process, giving it a little bit of grittiness that was requested, you know, but I don't have a lot of time to do that. So let's just blend everything together. And it's a good thing I didn't put a lot of detail in there actually, because everything is like so dark, right? And with all the red lights and the blue lights in there, it just kind of loses the original color anyway, because the ambient lighting is kind of weak. So only the directional colored lights are lighting everything up, you know. It would be more noticeable if the surfaces were lighter, such as like the AC units and the dude's lab coat and the hair, but on dark surfaces everything just turns into the color of the colored light source. And to make him pop out of the background, I added like a little rim light pass just at the top, so it looks like maybe from the top of a building there is like a light source shining down on him, like a spotlight or something like that. And yeah, let's repeat the process on the Power Rangers. And yeah, I mean, the timer ran out though, but surprisingly cohesive for only 3 hours. I mean, I was actually surprised myself. But yeah, I felt like some areas, like the background, didn't have enough grittiness to it, and like the characters could have used a tiny bit more rendering, even though this was like the basic tier. But yeah, I just added 15 minutes extra on the clock, kept on going, refining the rim light on the character, for example, and like trying to just add more detail to main areas, to the facial area. And like the main character needs to have a little bit more detail than the rest of the picture, because he is the protagonist after all. We need to make it obvious. Yellow rim light on the Power Rangers, which is coming from the strip light from behind them, actually helps create a little bit more depth in the scene, because it looks like they are closer to that light. They're like in the middle of the scene, while the main character is like farther away. Some cracks on the ground and on the walls, things like that. Just some clothing fold rendering on the main guy, just making them follow the direction of the arms on the chest, and like a little bit of rendering on the hair before I deliver this. Timer ran out again, but I wanted to fix the glasses first. It looked like too cartoony. And I don't know what I'm doing here, just some fogginess and a filter over everything to just make it look finalized, and the final fog rendering to make the Power Ranger silhouettes pop out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Absolutely wonderful. I still can't stop laughing over the way the two fellas in the back make me think of Power Rangers. Thanks so much. I love how this turned out. Hope to commission you again in the future. Hell yeah. Let's fucking go! Join the Patreon. Long unedited time-lapse of this drawing available on my second channel.
Bruh, check out my SoundCloud.
Hey kid, wanna buy some reference packs? I got you covered, fam.